everybody. I hope you're all doing well. Happy solar eclipse. Oh, happy day. I want to talk about a couple of different things. Considering I don't and haven't been making videos like I normally do, and whatever. But I am now, so I want to do what I often did or still do and talk about hate speech, anti-Semitism, conspiracy theories, misinformation, domestic, whatever. Let's do it. First off, The Intercept, which I got respect for the Intercept. Kind of. Not really. I used to, I should say. That's a big caveat. Not so much anymore. And that could be said about a lot of things, right? A lot of things have been bought and paid. That's the goal, isn't it? Get as much as you can, own it, all of them. All these different perspectives people think they have are really, it's the belly of the same beast. Fed search basketball arena for domestic terrorists in their own March Madness. What? That's one hell of a title, I guess. UConn meets Purdue. The national security state wants you worried about a different face-off. At least they're being honest. Because it's the Intercept, and that they, I guess, a decent amount of credibility to them. Kind of still do, but not. I'm skeptical. I'll always be skeptical. As the NCAA finishes up March Madness, another type of madness is unfolding as the U.S. military retools its weapons of mass destruction response apparatus to focus not on attacks by familiar foreign terror groups like Al-Qaeda or ISIS, but by American citizens. Late last month, for the first time ever, the National Guard conducted an exercise simulating a frantic search for a nuclear dirty bomb at a basketball and hockey arena in Trenton, New Jersey. New Jersey's interesting for the fact years and years and years ago, and it's so hard to find anything talking about it now, but it was a big deal 9, 11, 7 years, somewhere in that vicinity years ago. New Jersey with New York conducted this massive hushed up exercise, but it was so big. Like they involved local and county, state, federal, everybody, military. It was all involved. And it was a massive exercise. I made probably like 4 or 5 videos on it. And how far and it like out there you're planning for, the people that you're training clearly are in. Look, they're playing with my stream a little bit. It's not mine. You have all the, hold on, let me keep going. I get off topic. Well, that's actually pretty interesting. We'll circle around. The FBI has just received intelligence that a well-resourced domestic terrorist group has planted, man, I guess be careful with these words on this platform, has planted bombs, including one with, there's another little tangent I gotta have, because this self-censorship, this playing by their rules, right? How do you expect them, those, the ones that we all know that are trying to establish dominance over every facet of society, how do you suppose that they're going to achieve that, right? They're not, I mean, yeah, certainly third world countries, you could just come crashing down with the military and do like a complete tyrannical takeover, but that's not going to work so well in a country with 300 million people. And I mean, it's a mind game, right? You definitely gotta kind of ease into it. I find it fascinating that let me read this paragraph again. The FBI has just received intelligence that a well-resourced domestic terrorist group has planted bombs, including one with cesium-137, a radioactive isotope, in the arena. How do you suppose they're going to achieve people being submissive enough, not submissive necessarily, but submissive enough to allow enough of their rights to be taken from them? Or whether they acknowledge it or not, it's what's happening. To be docile and passive enough to allow them to continue to stage things, whether or not, like, let's keep it with the exercises for right now. Not saying they even go and create these false flags and these psyops or anything like that. But they continue to have these massive, especially this New York one, but like I said, that one was kind of hush. But they're not always like that, and most of the time they're not. They get a lot of media attention, and at least for the area, right? It's never national news, and I can understand why. But for local, they got to let the public know as to what it is they're doing, and then it gets into the minds of the masses. Let me turn my chat on. I don't even think the chat's on. What's up, Melissa? Ohio is not a state. How you guys doing? What's up, Retribution? I figure if I stayed on just for a couple of seconds, miraculously, some people might start joining. But I'm going to pick it right back up. There's some interesting points that have to be made about this. And I know it seems like kind of long and drawn out, but there's a point. What's up, SFKU Cuts? How you doing, brother? So these people see this stuff day in and day out, one way or the other, right? Like it doesn't necessarily have to be that they're planning for a nuclear NCAA, whatever. I don't know. Let's read this title again. What the hell was this? Feds search basketball arena for domestic nuclear terrorists in their own March Madness. Yep. Definitely madness. But this is what's being spewed out over and over. This is predictive programming at its finest, because they've been doing it for a while. Now, New Jersey and New York definitely seem to be, at least from what I can tell, in the crosshairs. And one of the videos, at least what I'm trying to do, eventually I hope to, is kind of tie some of this stuff in, because there's a very big event coming pretty damn soon. And like 9/11 will be like, wait, what? That ain't shit compared to. And that one alone, and I'm just guessing here, I don't know, but that one alone would be pretty significant, but there's going to be follow-ups to it. And that's just going to put it over the top, icing on the cake. Give the feds, the government, the New World Order, whatever it is that you want to call this beast system that is clearly trying to take over every single facet of life that it possibly can. The reins, give it much more, give it everything it wants. And being that we're in a bit of a predicament with Russia and China, North Korea, and Syria, and Iran, and Iraq, and Venezuela, and Cuba, and I mean, every single country including our allies or so-called allies. Well, they're letting us know, right? They're letting us know what's happening. And I definitely wanted to spend the time talking about this. Even though the rest of the video is just the usual type of stuff, there's certain things that I like to focus on from time to time. Now, this is in Idaho. Just like once in a while, I'll report on a bill in New York or California, right? Because it used to be the case, and it still is for sure, that if you see a bill in one state, it's only a matter of time before you see it in yours. Especially like since 9/11. That's pretty much when the game changed, and they decided like it's game on. But well, shit. Let me get into the article. Introduction of domestic terrorism bill should be cause for deep concern for Idaho's residents. The proposed legislation sought to narrow the scope of Idaho's Terrorist Control Act, effectively limiting in its application, writes the Idaho Leaders United Board of Directors. The Idaho legislature recently made the prudent decision to uphold the integrity of our state's laws by rejecting a bill that would have dangerously redefined domestic terrorism. And yes, great win here, but it's Idaho. The language that's probably in that bill was so alien and foreign to everybody almost in Idaho. Not saying that they're ignorant by any means. I'm talking about like what it is that would interest them. And the people that are pulling the strings and running the show, there is such a contrast between those two that it's alien, right? There's no way. I'm so glad that this passed. I mean, didn't pass, and clearly it wouldn't. And that gives me hope, but not a lot, because there are so many states in this country that this is going to fly through with flying colors. And then once they start getting a little bit of momentum, that's when these attacks are staged. That's when Patriot Acts are passed. That's when Freedom Acts are passed. That's when NDA 2012s are passed. And much, much, much more. And I don't want to spend too much time on this, but definitely good to pay attention, because I've been talking about it as long as I can remember. Definitely as long as I've been on ScrewTube. The domestic terrorism. And then everything that I said was going to happen, right? They did create a domestic terrorism unit. They did create like a free speech czar, though there was so much pushback that was kind of pushed aside. Definitely not gone away forever. But of course it is, right? Because this is what always happens before an empire becomes tyrannical and turns inward upon itself and eats and cannibalizes itself and those that it has risen to that level with. Its allies, its brethren, it's whatever it was along for the ride. It's a self-devouring process, and it happens. It's a cycle. It'll probably continue to happen till the... Moving on. Oh, no, let's undo that. Moving on to the Jerusalem Post. I find to be the most reputable, honest, great source of nothing but 100% authentic information that you can rely on. Because if there's any group of people you can truly rely on, it is definitely those of Judaism. Under that faith, I trust and rely wholeheartedly that everything I read from here on out underneath the Jerusalem Post will be nothing but the best and truest forms of information that I can share with you guys. Hail Hitler, U.S. city votes for ceasefire in forum rife with Jew hate. That sounds interesting. What's most interesting about it is this isn't the article that I had up, but I figured might as well run with it. The Bloomington, Indiana City Council passed a resolution calling for a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas in a Wednesday meeting rife with anti-Semitic statements and accusations of genocide against the Jewish state. Oh, come on. You can't say that. Why would they have had the Holocaust if you were going to be able to say that? This isn't the article, and I'm not going to read. Welcome back, I think. That's a good. What's up, New Edge? Good to see you. Good to see you. So there's some of these articles that I actually want to read, and providing I don't get slammed behind a non-existent paywall, what am I going to subscribe to? How am I going to pay for? Anyway, Christian nationalists embrace Trump as their savior. Will they be his? Do you guys see what they're doing? Do you see the part that they're setting up Trump to play? This is unlike anything I've ever seen in all my lives. I mean, in all my years of life, I've never seen anything like this. Mainly because there hasn't been this level of technology where something can get spread with such a fever pitch and such a divide and a chasm that I don't even think can be bridged at this point, can be created. It's a very interesting time to be alive. That much is 100% certain. And if you got your life right, it doesn't even have to be right, but if anyways, if you got your life right, you know what I mean by that, of course. I mean, none of us are living perfect, but we're doing our best. That's all we can do. God, you guys hear this? Oh, I feel bad. Go get him some water. Give your fucking self some water. All right, let's read this. A thrice married man who refers to the Eucharist as Little Cracker was apparently able to name a single Bible verse and says he has never asked God for forgiveness while was always an unlikely hero for the most conservative Christians in the U.S. But in both 2016 and 2020, Donald Trump resoundingly won the vote of white evangelicals, now with the Trump having almost certainly secured the Republican nomination for 2012. Almost certainly. So what are they doing? What are they doing? Well, the number one thing that they have to do with Trump. What was one of the first things that they told you about Trump? Oh, he's a Christian man. So naturally, the takedown, and the rise, but the association with, nonetheless, of Trump is with this Christian identity. But in true as it may be, everything in that first paragraph about he knows absolutely nothing about Christ or the Bible, or at least it would appear so, as he's been called out on occasion, and never have I seen a reply that didn't look like complete bullshit. But what's so fascinating is people are so quick to just let this bullshit roll over them because they're like, that other side is so screwed up that I'm willing to take what I can get. And not even just that, but subconsciously that. And that I'll take what I can get quickly evolves and morphs into, this is my idol. This is the leader. This is our savior. They know this and are using it as such. And it's working phenomenally. Phenomenally. Talk to somebody. Go outside tomorrow and be like, if you had to vote tomorrow, who are you voting for? And you tell me. Is it working or not? Did his mugshot harm him? Did all of his... No, they're building him up like a fucking rock star. It's clear as day. But for what? Right? Is he really going to be the one that drains the deep state? Though he had 4 years, he chose wrong, and the people that he surrounded himself ended up stabbing him in the back like Jesus. And like, oh, come on, man. You don't seem ignorant to me. You don't seem dumb enough to surround himself. Well, maybe. Give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe this next 4 years will be different. Maybe he will forego his Rothschild income. Maybe he will set aside some of his ties, lest we be anti-Semitic, and say what the facts say, because facts be damned. Anti-Semitism is what we need to worry about these days. Speaking of that, before I get to that, though, I do want to finish there's a couple of points I have on this. The association between the Christian identity, and I'm going to show you a prime example here in a minute. It's going to blow your mind, coming from a Christian source, and how they're setting up, because people are so easily influenced by the information that they take in. That's all we are sponges for the information that we choose to, now that we do have the choice, to absorb. Before we didn't. Before you had an excuse to why you were so fucking dumb and why you would, whatever. You had an excuse. Now you don't, because now it's your choice. Now you can filter all the garbage out. You can do your due diligence. Yeah, it's time consuming. Nobody wants to do it. It would be great if we all had an oracle at our disposal. We could just be like, well, I want to know the truth. It's not that easy. It never will be that easy. Unless you want to go to the deity of government, which is the ruling power, which it is an illusory creation and a subjugation of our own rights. It's a submissive, there's got to be a better word. It's very submissive. There's a word I'm looking for, but it's you basically laying down in hopes that whatever it is that you're serving will have enough decency to let you survive what it is that their tyranny, that what it is that they're about to do or have been and will do, you may be spared. That never and has never, will never end well for those that are hoping that. But that, I think, subconsciously as a survival instinct is what people kind of default to. And knowing this, the media, the CIA, right, Operation Mockingbird, of course, have utilized this against, and they know so much more, right? I know a decent amount that's shocking when you take it in its context. That's nothing compared to what they have, right? Because I'm just getting little bits and pieces that have been declassified through a FOIA or whatever. If it was never meant to get out, it wouldn't. It's not. So even that's got to leave you to question, like, what is that you're being fed, whether you think you're being fed it or not. They know there are those that go looking. So you always have to be you just be out, always on guard. But most people aren't, and they get fooled for this. And what they're trying to do now is trying to wipe out an entire religion. Right before your eyes. This is amazing. So, yeah, Trump, yada, yada, yada. It's going to save us. Vote Trump, right? Make sure you vote Trump, because Biden, look how much damage he's done. Trump's going to come in. He's going to lock everybody up. He's going to ship them all back. And he's going to build walls. Don't forget it. Who are you voting for? Like, which side of the serpent? You want his belly or his back? "10 ways Christians can criticize Israel that aren't anti-Semitic," because damn you dare say anything that is pre-unapproved. Got to have that rubber stamp on it, right? It's got to be approved by Israel first before. And in case you didn't know, and you know how many people unfortunately are going to read this shit and they're going to be like, "Oh my God, I want to be a good Christian." No, you don't. No, you don't. You want a virtue signal. You want to pretend that what you're doing is for the good of anybody else but yourself. That is not true. "10 ways Christians can criticize Israel that aren't anti-Semitic." Since October 7th, many well-intentioned statements have undercut, well-intentioned, right? It's all well-intentioned statements have undercut progressive Christians' moral high ground by invoking anti-Semitic tropes, which at this point is literally anything and everything that makes a Jew feel uncomfortable. That's a fucking fact. But don't worry, it's an avoidable problem. In her book, Antisemitism, historian and diplomat Deborah Lipstadt offers this definition. A definition? Oh, well, if it's Deborah Lipstadt and she's offering definitions, let me give her all my attention. You have my ears, Deborah. An anti-Semite is someone who hates Jews more than is absolutely necessary. Well, how much is necessary? Because an anti-Semite is someone who hates Jews more than is absolutely necessary. So how much? We could probably dial it in. When someone criticizes Jews more and more intensely than they would criticize someone else for the same conduct, this is a measure of their anti-Semitism. We believe that many progressive Christian leaders have failed by the standard in their criticism of Israel over the war on Gaza, right? Like, pay no mind about their arguments and why they said that there's genocide taking place and that there's indiscriminate killing of children and women that have nothing to do with any of it. Don't pay any attention to that. What you have to pay attention to, we believe that many progressive Christian leaders have failed by the standard. What standard? The criticism over Israel about the war in Gaza On what grounds? On the criticizing of Jews more intensely than you would criticize someone else for the same conduct, right? So you're holding them. That's fun. Where is the tie? This is so clever, the tactics that they use for this stuff, because when you read this from beginning to end, they're psychological warfare. And if you don't know how these games are played, if you're not privy to, if you haven't taken the time to study any, I would highly encourage, before like anything else, you study social psychology, sociology, behaviorism, social psychology, but there's others as well. However, that one, that specific little bubble of information will really serve you well. We believe that many progressive Christian leaders have failed by the standards of their criticism over Israel. Let me go on. Respected colleagues and friends have accused Israel of genocide. A trope, right? Because we just got done hearing about how these are all tropes that they're talking about. So why is it a trope? A trope akin to Holocaust inversion and deeply painful to those of us who have family trees more dead than alive. Well, again, this is brilliant because all of us have family trees that are more dead than alive. And almost 9 times out of 10, anybody you talk to has lost somebody that they cared about within the last 5 years. So that's always going to be like sitting on the realization of a finite life. Like they're playing on a lot of stuff there, but that's what's even better. I got to figure out how to say this one right, because this is a very, very powerful tactic, tool in their little bag of tricks that they use. Respected colleagues and friends have accused Israel of genocide. So people, what they're doing is they're putting you in a place, and they're saying you may have heard people that you look up to, people with intelligence, people that are good people and have their wits. You may have heard them say Israel has committed genocide. A trope, interesting choice of words that they immediately throw in there. Akin to Holocaust inversion. I'm sorry. What is Holocaust inversion? Is this... I got to keep up with it. Rather hard to do these days, considering every single minute of every single day they're creating these terms. Very convenient terms, too. Holocaust inversion, and deeply painful to those of us, right? Those of us, our circle, it's brilliant. Not for one moment do they just write frivolously and just put whatever it is, their little muse sitting at their desk, providing them all this great creative content. That is absolutely not the case. They are given a narrative, an agenda to follow, and most of them kind of ideologically aligned. They're willing to sell their souls. That's why they've taken the job. You can bought that person, that shell that'll say, it's sticking your hand up their ass and moving their mouth, essentially, right? You can do that. Man, I get so off topic here. You can do that with a lot of, damn near all of the journalism, right? I gotta get off this topic. moving on, guys. I got a lot to cover. You guys know where I was going with that. Conspiracy theory, man, this kind of ties in. I should have finished off with that. Conspiracy theory 2024, RFK, GOP just can't spread enough falsehoods. Well, I really want to bring it back to that anti-Semitic stuff. I gotta not do that, because not saying that I want to say anti-Semitic stuff, just this article here. But I don't know how to approach this part without. That's the point of it. It is very effective. In fact, I'm defeated by it, because I do not know a good way where I can honestly bring you this info. Like, I can show you how it works. I can show you their tactics and stuff. But at the same time, it doesn't really do any good, because the range, the broadness of all of it, it's like you're giving specific examples, and even if you're a very smart, and you guys are, clearly, I know that, but even, like, if you're really, really on point and you take even that in and you even expand on that, it's kind of irrelevant, and to me it kind of feels like a trap. Like, it's got me sitting here going through it, probably doing exactly what is. I can only imagine the amount of, like I was talking about social psychologists and behavioral analysis and stuff like that, like sitting behind collecting this data, using the most sophisticated AI out there that we fucking have no idea about, at their disposal, helping them use this data and really narrow in on people that they don't have in their neat little boxes. And that catches me off guard sometimes, especially when I'm going through an article and I'm like trying to explain the tactics that are being used. But then I realize that on a deeper level, there's a tactic being used on me. But you can't hide away from it, right? You can't bury your head in the sand because you don't know how to approach it, because it's different, or at least for me anyway. It's something that what are you gonna do? Like, oh shit, this I don't know. I can't. Never seen them fight like this before. Turn around and like fill position. Or it's like, oh shit, got something different coming. Which, that's how, I mean, mundane Mondays, right? Like, you want to switch it up every now. I enjoy when they, but that doesn't mean you're protected. You're not going to fall into these types of traps. So, as much as I learn from other people, as much as I hope people may learn from some of the stuff I say, it's never going to be good enough. You're always going to have to be beyond on guard. Like, you're always going to have to second guess, not like in a you have to do it in a confident way. You have to be that are ahead of us. You got to be concise and clear. You got to weigh your options. And all the information that you get, because almost 99% of it's going to be garbage. You're going to have to go through them like you're looking. It's going to be an interesting time. And like, I think communication wise, a lot of that's going to be locked down after a certain extent. Like, we're only going to have a certain amount of access to worry about that. But that makes it even worse, because when they control the sources of information, because again, that's all people are sponges. They just absorb what it is that they're getting, and yeah, they can be smart and they can discern and they can figure it out. But if they only are constantly bombarded with false information, and this is how they do it, right? They'll have your Alex Joneses and your Tucker Carlsons being on one spectrum but still controlled, and then they'll have your I don't want to say Ellen DeGeneres for some reason, but they'll have like it's all the left at this point, right? Like, you can think of all of them, all of the ones on the left right now. Turn on the television, if you're whatever host or like, that's the left. But it doesn't matter. That can get switched back and forth. That's the game that's played, and that's going to be the only information that you have to get. It'll be one controlled aspect or the other, and not like controlled in your Tucker Carlsons of the world, because even though he is clearly I can't say that clearly, because there are so many people that think that he's legit. The dude comes from an intelligence background family. Like, how, like, if you don't even know how that works, don't mention anything yet, right? You better go learn about anybody that ever gets into the intelligence agencies, who their parents were, because you don't just get into, you were always in. That's the way it works in intelligence agencies, right? So, damn it, I'm so off topic, guys. I'm gonna get wrapping it up here in a minute. I can go on so many different rants. There's 1,000 different videos that need to be made just stemming off some of the stuff that I'm talking about tonight, but it can be simplified in a couple of things. One, I just broke down pretty much. You can't take anything that you're like. How many people were fooled by Trump? I want to know. Like, how many of you? And be honest. Are you taken in? Do you believe that? Because it's working on so many people that it's mind-blowing to me. People that were once awake, just, oh, well, the media wouldn't attack. No, they would never think of anything that you're thinking of. I wouldn't expect really any of you guys, not to say if you did, like, no disrespect, I would not be, it doesn't surprise me. Like, I expect that. That's unfortunately a reality. And I thought after COVID, that would have been a slap in the face after the gung-ho vaccine man himself with Operation Warp Speed. It's convenient to forget about those things. It's convenient to forget about when Trump says, I like take the guns first and due process later. It does not matter who they put up in front of the cameras. If they're putting them in front of cameras, it doesn't matter if they're telling you to hate them or love them. They want you responding to them. And people are. It's brilliant, right? I mean, look how perfect. Biden destroying the country. Oh, it's just because he's whatever. How can anyone possibly believe the BS? At this point, it is so over the top. I'm going to wrap it up, though, guys. Before I do, if there's anything at all you want to talk about or any questions, let me know. I don't see anything. Yeah, absolutely. For anything in particular? Yeah. Yeah, of course. Do you have cancer? Do you have cancer? That's that's horrible. I'm sorry to hear that. Wish you would have told me sooner. No? Okay. Gotta make sure. I know. I just want to make sure. Hmm. All right. Well, how many people we got in here? 7 people in here. I guess we should take a moment and pray. Don't worry. Don't worry. All right, guys. I'm gonna wrap it up. I hope you all have a good night. I appreciate, of course, I appreciate you guys. Um, talk to you soon. Much love. God bless. Peace.